Hi, my name is Rihanna. Today we're going to be talking about details over the courtroom. I went to 2 different hearings, so I will be talking about both of those. The courtroom that I attended was on April 11th at 1:30 on a Thursday at Greenfield County. Greenfield County Court. I want to talk about how the courtroom actually looked. So on the day I went up there, it was super rainy and like gloomy, so looking at the courtroom, it was actually giving off like a eerie type of vibe, and it made me more timid to go into one. I had never gone into one prior, so I was really scared to do this. On the outside, there's a lot of archways everywhere, and it was a really tall building that went into a clock tower. The archways were really grand, like really tall, and everything was made out of brick or a concrete-like paste or cement. And there was a lot of many fine details throughout it. The architecture was very detailed, and there were a lot of small designs that popped out of the wall to give it a lot of dimension. When you then entered into the courtroom through the front doors, immediately there was front doors and then a meter to check your body, and then 2 security guards over to your right. They had a table with trays that you had to put all your stuff into, and then sent it through the system to check for anything that you couldn't have on you. And then directly in front of that, there was a little lobby area. It wasn't little, it was pretty big, but in the middle of that was a really big grand staircase, and it didn't spiral up, but it did a flight and then had a flat and then had a flight and then a flat, and you could see directly through everything in the middle. After that, over to the left there was some more stuff, but I didn't walk over there. To the right there was an elevator that I had ended up taking up to the 3rd floor. When I got to the 3rd floor, when you got off the elevator, there was 2 rooms to your left, a hallway with another room, and then over to the right was a lobby area with 2 or 3 more rooms. In the lobby area, I did ask where I needed to go and how I could go in there, if I was just able to walk in or if I had to wait. I was pretty unsure about it, so I asked one of the ladies to assist me, and she did. However, in the lobby room there was quite a few people either side. There was 2 bench areas that you could sit, and then a bunch of people were just standing around. There was also a desk outside of the courtrooms, outside of the doors. It was just a little elf desk, but nobody was sitting there. Not sure what that was for. When you walk into the courtroom that I was in, there was there's immediately in, there's just chairs. There's a little walkway and then a back walkway, and then a bunch of wooden chairs that were all connected, kind of school-like chairs. The ground wasn't also the ground throughout the whole entire building was a marble. It was really nice, but the ground in this room was just school carpeting, nothing super fancy, but it was gray and rough. And then to your right, a few chairs away, you had your row that the lawyers and criminal defendants, the ones that are already in jail, could sit. And then in front of them you had your the judge and his desk, and then over to the right you had a little seating area for some more people, and then you had the lady that was typing everything and like saying who was gonna come up next to his left. This room especially, like, everything looked really basic in the beginning, and I didn't realize like how much detail was actually in the room after I sat and looked for a minute. But the windows were colored, and they had a gray, like a light gray curtain on them. And then there was like archways that went from the ceiling, that like connected the ceiling into the walls. And then the ceiling was very defined as well, just like the outside of the building was. The ceiling had all these small details that gave dimension to it and made it look a lot more classier than what it really was. Anyways, to get into the first court proceeding that I listened to, this one was for CJ. It was CJ versus State. He was already found guilty of everything, and this was like his last hearing to be like, okay, this is what you can and can't do. He was charged with domestic 6 battery, child abuse, damage to property, domestic disturbance. He had to replace McCordsville property because he damaged some of the property. He also got in trouble for hitting a police officer. It was violating one of them. When this all went to happen, the judge read the court doc tick number, and the lawyer went up and then called over his person, was like, that's us. He asked who was present. I cannot remember the lawyer's name. I never actually got it. I couldn't hear this part. But the lawyer said he was here, and then CJ said he was here. And then the judge read them their rights, or his rights, and told him, like, you have to say the truth, nothing but the truth. Place your right hand up and agree with this. After all of that, they had talked about how he was already guilty for this. So he ended up having to do 180 days at the Hancock jail. He has to replace some of McCordsville property. He also has to go into anger management counseling and also get medicated to deal with the anger issues. And he, like, to the judge said something about how it was good that he was taking responsibility for what he was doing and wasn't fighting it. However, when he was done with all of this, he wanted to do a state transfer from Indiana to Michigan for probation. He wanted to go stay with his dad instead. He did not have any children. The judge had mentioned that this was like the first criminal charge of this matter being dealt with at that court, especially. Like, it was the first one like this bad that he had to deal with. Everyone that was there was him, and then his father and mother were present as well, but they did not go up. Total days that he has to serve is 910 days total. he has to do 180 days at the Hancock prison, and then the rest of those days will be served out on probation. He owes a $50 domestic violence fee and child abuse. At the end, the judge pretty much told him, I hope you the best, I hope you can change and do better, and good luck. And the judge ended it there, said you are dismissed, and they left. For the other part that notes that I had taken were recent notes, but it was another time I decided to go to the courtroom, and I took the liberty of taking more notes to do it. I thought it would be good for this presentation. So when I got in, same courtroom, same place. It was actually, I did this last Thursday. When I walk in, same thing. This time it's a bit more sunnier, so looking at the clock tower, I could actually tell like the coloring of it, and it was like red and pretty. It looked very elegant. It had a very elegant and like classy look to it. I went to the same room, and nothing changed there. Like everything was still the same, different people. That was about it. When we get in, we waited for a while until the judge read the court number. He asked who was all present. This lawyer's name was Chen's, stated that they were there, and then both plaintiffs, was Julia and Christopher, they both spelled their names and then said that they were there and then spelled their names for the judge. The judge then read them their rights, and both of them agreed they understood their rights, and however, in the end, neither one of them entered into a guilty or not guilty plea. They didn't get charged with anything, but they didn't get to say that they were good either. Both of them asked for a public defender for their child neglect case. They did get charged for child neglect due to driving drunk with the child in the backseat. However, due to them being parked in front of a house when the officers arrived, they did not get charged for anything yet, or have not been found guilty or not guilty. Abbreviated. It was operating while intoxicated, that's what they get charged with. And they had a 1-year-old in the vehicle when they blew into the breathalyzer, both over the limit. One was 0.017 and the other one was 0.077, which are both really high to be driving drunk. Anything is high, but these were like really high. Chinside requested they have a safety plan in place if there is any arguments or drinking. If there is anything that would be of this nature, they are to call the grandmother of the child, which her name was Christina, for her to come and pick him up. Chinside requested that Firefly does a weekly check and provide any services that the defendants need, such as counseling or substance classes. as well as Chins will do random drug/alcohol test for the plaintiffs. No criminal charges for the defendants. As of right now, this courtroom has not charged them with anything. They're gonna see what happens with the options they have now. So no criminal charges have been filed at this time. The judge then gave them a public defender with a phone number to contact. The court date was rescheduled for May 23rd at 2:30 p.m. The court was dismissed, and the defendants met with the Chin's provider after court. And then the day this all happened was 4/29/2024 at 2 p.m. That is all for my notes I have taken. Thank you.